Good morning, animal lovers. This is Liana with Wet Noses Pet Sitting, and today I want to talk about pet insurance. So this topic actually came up. I was talking to my mom about it a couple days ago because she has a house full of elderly pets and of course is having a lot of little pet veterinary problems right now. So we got talking about pet insurance. I was telling her I'd never have another animal without insurance. So she said I should talk about it here. So here I am. So a little bit about my history with pet insurance. When I got my first dog, my first adult dog, my parents are not paying for the vet care. I was 19 and he was a Rottweiler. And if anybody knows Rotties or their health problems, they have many health problems, especially cancer. And so I really looked at, when I got him, in 5 years, am I going to be at a place where I can pay for a $10,000 to $20,000 cancer treatment? And of course the answer was no. There was no way that was going to happen. I was working at a dog daycare at the time, making minimum wage. So I got insurance with him, and it was good I did, because he did end up with cancer when he was 8. So it was great. With my current dog, I also got insurance. That was one of the first things I did. And he has had some health problems, so it's good that I did. I'm glancing at him. Do you guys want to see my dog really quick? Little peek? Little peek? He is standing up on our couch so that he can bark at people that are going to walk by. So it's snowing out, so hopefully there's not anyone walking by. So a little bit about the way insurance works. So first off, the way most pet sitting insurance works these days is it's not at all like human health insurance. So usually they do have a copay. I think mine is about $100 a month, or a year, sorry, $100 a year. I pay a monthly rate, and they cover 90% of my coverage after my $100 deductible. Now, the way that pet insurance works is you can go to any veterinarian you want. So no matter who you're going to see, whether it's your regular vet or a specialist or an emergency care, you can go to any veterinarian and they give you a bill afterwards. And so unlike human insurance, they do not bill insurance for you. You are in charge of getting reimbursed from the insurance. So you're going to pay for everything up front. And then the insurance company, you're going to submit all of your information to the insurance company, and they are going to reimburse you. Now, for some people, that's still a hard chunk of money to swallow. When I was having cancer treatment for my Rottweiler, I got care credit, which I know a lot of people are familiar with, and that's based on your veterinarian. So basically, that's like a credit card for medical problems, and you can use it for your pets as well as for human care. So in that case, you would use your care credit if your veterinarian worked with it, and then you could get your reimbursement and pay off your care credit. And that's what I did when I was doing his cancer treatments. So the interesting thing is it's a little bit more work for you than human insurance, because you do have to pay for it up front, and you do have to submit medical records. If your vet's fantastic, they'll help you with the medical record submission. So that just really depends on a system that you work out with your vet. My vet actually would submit everything for me for a while. When it's just something easy now and I don't have to submit records, I just do it myself. So it's not a big deal. And I just upload my invoices onto their website and they send me a check. Which I do pretty regularly these days, it feels like. I wish I had insurance for my cat, because my cat's the old one has a lot of health problems right now. So if you're thinking about getting insurance, of course, the way it works is you just go on to different websites, research the different companies, because they're all a little bit different as far as what they cover and how much they cover. Some companies do have max limits on specific health problems, like say cancer treatment or emergency room visits. So you want to make sure that you're aware of that and that you know exactly what you're getting into. So if you have a breed of dog that is particularly susceptible to cancer, say a Lab or a Rottweiler or a Doberman, then you will really want to take a look at those cancer coverage to make sure. I'm going to answer your question in just a second here. So you really want to check to make sure that health problems that your animal is predisposed to are really covered and the coverage is high enough. And it used to be, and I'm not sure if it still is, and different policies are undoubtedly different, but that you could pay for riders to increase coverage. And that's what I did with my Roddy. I think I paid $5 more a month, but they had no max for my cancer coverage, which was awesome because I definitely would have maxed that out. So do you think, Stephanie asked, do you think pet insurance is better as a puppy when you get a rescue or when they get older? Definitely get your insurance as a puppy. So I looked at the time. So here's the other sad part of my regret about pet insurance. At the same time as I had my Rottweiler, I met my husband and he had a Dalmatian. And when she got older, she ended up having a spinal injury. And she was probably 12 at the time. And she did not have insurance. And I had looked at getting her insurance at some point, but the cost was just so astronomical because she was already 6 or 7 years old. And if I had just been paying for it since she was a puppy, the coverage, it would not have cost nearly that much, and it would have been really reasonable. But it was like astronomically high. And so if you get a puppy, get it. If you get a rescue dog, it's going to really depend on how much the cost is, and that is going to depend upon your veterinarian submitting vet records. So if you have an older dog that you're trying, or cat that you're trying to get coverage for, what you usually do is you'll get veterinary records and you'll submit them all, and they'll give you a quote for how much your policy is going to be. If you do get a dog or an animal as a puppy or a kitten at a young age, look at getting coverage right away. Do not wait until they get older, because it's just going to be so expensive. And a lot of policies cover some of your basic care as you go, so definitely look for that in your policy as well. And different companies call it wellness coverage usually, and that is whether they're going to cover things like annual exams, blood works, dental, that kind of stuff. So some policies cover those and some do not. And if you have a policy that's going to cover those, then it is especially worth getting it as a puppy. My policies for my 2 dogs have differed a little bit. So my Roddy, his did have wellness coverage, and he covered pretty much everything. And so oh, I'm glad you like the fish. They're very happy back there. So they, apologize. The wellness plans will cover a lot of different stuff. And with my Roddy, I factored in that his policy was actually breaking even with his coverage for his dentals and his wellness coverage. So his policy, as far as I was considered, didn't actually cost me anything. And then they covered his cancer coverage, which was epic. I think his cancer treatment was well above $10,000. So it definitely worked out well for me. It doesn't work out that well for everybody, but that's how insurance goes. So with my current dog, he does not have wellness coverage, so they don't cover all that stuff, but they do cover his dentals, which is really interesting. So when he has had a couple dentals in the past, they cover those, which is nice, but they don't cover regular vet visits. I still submit everything just in case something's going to possibly be covered, but it just depends on the policy, and every policy is different, so definitely look at it. Most insurance companies only cover dogs and cats, but I have found companies that are covering things like reptiles and parrots, which is great. So, and then for parrots, some of the really specific things they cover are like blood feathers and feather plucking. Like they pay for extra therapies if you have a feather plucker parrot. So that's definitely worth looking at. And they didn't cost that much when I priced them out last time. If anybody's wondering, like my policy for my dog right now, I think costs about $28 a month, and I've been paying since he was a puppy. So and it definitely pays for himself. His policy has paid for itself because he is a quick background. His father, he's not a rescue. His father. So I know his breeder, and a couple of years ago, his father passed away suddenly from a cardiac arrhythmia. Completely out of the blue. They'd never seen it before, and he just passed away one day suddenly. So we did complete heart workup on him and got regular, and he still gets regular heart checks, and those cost somewhere in the realm of $700, and his insurance completely covers it. Even though it's not a health problem that he has, they still cover it because it's possibly preventative. So I do not necessarily have any recommendations for companies. I was actually just looking at those to see if I could come up with any recommendations that I really liked. And I think that different policies vary. So many of the companies are so similar that they really vary dependent upon what type of animal that you have and how old they are and what they're going to cover. So with my dog, with his breed background, I wasn't really particularly worried about cancer. So I looked at different ones than I did for my last dog, who I knew that he was going to have a cancer possibility. So I would just do a quick, and all of the companies have like chart comparisons of what they cover and what they don't. So take a look and just figure out what you think is important for your specific pets. And I imagine in some ways it's a lot easier to get, if you have multiple pets, to have all of your pets on with one company. And I don't know if they have discounts for having multiple pets like normal insurance does, but that's worth looking at. And just see what works best for your pets and really what one is going to benefit you the best. So let's see, I'm checking my notes here really quick to make sure I didn't miss anything. I would say that if you check with your vet also to see if they have a company that they particularly recommend that they use. The one regret I have with my pet insurance is, one, I didn't get it for our Dalmatian, which I should have when she was younger. And I wish that we could have afforded it, because when she had her spinal injury, the discussion really became is like, how much can we afford? Because they wanted to do MRIs and then surgery, and we were looking at least $5,000, and they only gave her like a 40% chance of actually having it be successful, and she was 12. So the finances really became a part of the discussion. And that, unlike my Roddy, who it was just like, do whatever you need to do. Like, cost is not a concern, only quality of life. And now when I leave, and I leave instructions for my pet sitters about care, and I talk to my vet knows me very well, but I mean, for my dog, it's literally just do whatever you need to do. His insurance is going to cover it. And if there was a problem or a health concern, just do whatever you need to do. Like, finances are not going to even be a discussion, which is awesome. So it's a really good place to be making your decisions based on quality of life, much more like humans than on the expenses of the situation. So that's my big recommendation. And again, if you have a vet that you like, that they recommend a particular insurance, definitely take a look at that. When my dog was a puppy, so this is my I had a stupid moment story. When he was a puppy, I had him in for his, I just got my puppy exam, and my vet gave me a certificate for pet insurance, and it covers from that day for 30 days forward as long as you submit it. And I had to submit it right away. Now, of course I didn't, because most insurances, just like human insurance, have a gap coverage. And so I did set him up with insurance, but it was a different company, and they had a 30-day gap to cover any issues that came up. Now, on day 28, this is fascinating, on day 28, my dog, as a puppy, 3 months old, sprained his paw and actually sprained it repeatedly within a week, and ended up getting put on Rimadyl, a very low dose of Rimadyl, in order to stop the pain so that it could heal. And he developed an allergy to Rimadyl and all anti-steroidal medications. So anything that is related to that health problem is not covered under our insurance. It has covered all his other stuff, like the heart concerns and everything. And if when my vet submits it, they don't tie it back to that problem, then it's not a big deal. And he's pretty well over that now, but for a couple of years, there was a lot of vet visits that could have gone on that would have been covered if I had submitted my 30-day gap coverage. So that's a my bad. So definitely look at that. And I would say, if you ever have the chance to get that. Don't be slack like me. Be a slacker. Because it never hurts to have it. Even if you think your animal's healthy, you just never quite know what's going to happen really quick. You always like to think that your puppies and stuff are going to be super healthy, but you never know. So yeah, does that answer all of your guys' questions? It's good to see so many people join this morning. And I think pet insurance is like the wave of the future. I think everybody's going to have it these days. I think that if you can afford to get it, it's the way to go. You never have to worry about the cost anymore of animal health care. And animal health care is getting so expensive, and there are just so many alternative medicines these days. And there's a ton of ways to treat animals that we didn't used to look at. and it covers all of them, which is great. So it's good to see. But yeah, just check out your policies, take a look, and definitely look at it if you've got pets. Especially, I think, also if you have multiple pets that might get old at the same time and end up being really expensive, like my parents. So, well, thank you all for joining me. I will be back here tomorrow at 8:30 to discuss more animal tips and tricks, and say hi to your pets from us.